40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of her advocacy, I should say, one of her advocacy empowering women through bold truth telling fiction. And she's the author of several books, no other than Base NG Avant.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Miss NG. And can you please again introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is NG Avant, and I am an indie author, a Canadian indie author based out of Ottawa, Ontario, which is Canada's capital city. Oh, sorry, my chihuahuas.
No worries.
Guys, hey, we're live. Sorry.
No
Um,
worries at all. No
maybe
worries.
they're very cute, so maybe if I can get them over here,
Oh,
that'll make up for it.
yes, yes, definitely. Get them and let's show them to the
Come here,
world.
come here. Come here, boys. Come here. No, they're just looking at me like they're on guard duty. So yes, I started. I went to school for journalism, so I have a background in writing, and decided to try my hand at fiction writing after I had a pretty traumatic experience working in municipal politics, and I've always found writing to be kind of therapeutic. So I planned out this series, the Capital City series, 5 years ago now. And when I was planning it out, all of like Trump had just been elected, and the Epstein stuff was in the news, and it's back in the news. Actually, it's kind of a full circle moment
Again.
that as my the last book of the series is coming out, Epstein is back in the news. I swear I didn't plan it out this way, but that's how it that's how it happened. So I kind of, uh, in my own lived experience, my personal experience, um, I spoke out about some the how I was treated by my boss, who was a city councilor at the time. And I went through the whole process and even participated in a police investigation into his conduct. And I didn't really see justice at the end of that. So this book series is a kind of a way to take back my power. And although in my real life I didn't get justice, through this book series, the main character and the bad players in the book, they are held accountable, and there is justice. I don't want to give any spoilers out,
Spoilers.
but but just in general context, like it's it these this series isn't really about escaping. I know some people, myself included, you like to pick up a book so that you can escape reality. This book is very much, these books, the three of them, are very much based in reality. They're a mirror, they're a reflection of our current society and what it's like for women working in male dominated industries these days. So but there is just a little sprinkle, there's a dash of hope that I hope readers take away when they finish the series. So thank you for having me on. And now I get to finally talk about my third book that came out in June of this year, and it completes the trilogy around Callista Caldwell. Um, and it's this, in terms of process, it was very interesting when I think about, when I look at these three books and where I was in my life. Like the first book, that was born out of, I was in a really dark place, and it was actually something that I did that was very cathartic, when I was writing that book. The second book, my life was very chaotic. I was going through a divorce, I was changing careers, like all sorts of stuff was happening when I was writing that book. And that book I started, and then I put it aside for like year and a half, and then I went back to it. And then this third book was when I had already quit my corporate, like my government job, and I decided I want to do this full time. I'm really gonna give it a shot. So Courage in Capital City was written from where a place of hindsight, a place where a, I was in a really good safe space, and I think that's reflected in the book itself. So it's this whole this whole series has been like a personal journey for me. It represents my healing journey, really, in a lot of ways.
Well, Miss Angie, thank you so much for sharing your series today. Well, consume corruption, courage. And what does courage in capital city mean to you, and why focus on courage in this setting?
The reason why I actually interesting story that when I first planned it out, I was going to call it Campaign in Capital City. And then after the book was actually written, one of my beta readers was like, this title, it's not really capturing the essence of the book. And then so I really thought about, she's like, this is more about seeking justice. And I really thought about like, what is the essence of this book? And really it's about courage, and not just the courage of Callista Caldwell, the main character, but a lot of characters in this novel really step up and do brave things, do challenging things, overcome barriers. They fail, but they keep getting up, they keep trying. So that's why, like, the real essence of this whole the whole book, well, the series really, but like it's like a full arc where the voice is finally found, and you're just going in and doing the thing.
How do you define courage in the context of everyday life versus extraordinary circumstances, Miss Angie?
I think courage is really all about not being afraid to fail. I think we sometimes don't even try before we even get started. So it's about being willing to take that risk, to maybe get pie all over your face, but wipe it off and keep going. And I think that we can, um, in big situations, like in my personal experience, where I decided to speak out against somebody that held a lot of power and influence in my community, to situations where maybe there's somebody in your life that is hurtful, and having the courage to speak to them about that and set boundaries around them. It's uh, it's about facing your fears. It's not about being fearless, because we're all scared sometimes, but it's about facing those fears and being willing to take the risk and see what's on the other side of taking that risk.
What's the difference between courage and recklessness in your perspective?
Oh, that's a good question. Now we're getting deep, Daniel. We're getting deep.
Yes.
I think that recklessness is when you're impulsive, when you don't really um you're letting your emotions guide you, and you're not really thinking through um what, like, the next steps are going to be. I think that you can be courageous and be strategic about it. You can be strategic about how you're going to move forward. um and reckless can sometimes also mean self-sabotage, like you're uh when you expect to fail, when you expect things to go badly. I think sometimes people, myself included, um, not as much anymore, but definitely there was a time in my life where I would self sabotage. I would, because I just like a self fulfilling prophecy, right? Like I would just create the failure so that I ended up being right in a way, because that's what I was expecting to happen. So that's kind of like that self-sabotage, that recklessness versus doing something that takes courage is is like a strategic risk that is aligned with your dreams, your passions, your values, and it's coming from a really deep part of you and not necessarily just like how you're feeling in the moment. I don't know. Does that, what do you think? What do you think the difference between, because that's such a good question. Like to
Well,
really,
very well said, Miss Angie. Very well said indeed. We keep getting deeper and deeper because this is your last series of your book. What common fears hold people back from acting
well, like,
courageously?
yeah, like I've been saying, I think fear of failure, is a big one, and I think guilt and shame, like these, we should all over ourselves. I should have done this, I should do that, but instead of actually taking the steps to do those things, that can sometimes hold us back. Um, and I think one of the things that kind of like a double edged sword. I'm dyslexic. I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was in grade 3, which had kind of some negative impacts on my life because I was pulled out of class and I was put in the special education class, and so everyone knew that I was different, and it really eroded my self-confidence. I didn't believe that I was very smart for a long time. But the thing about being somebody with um, a learning difference is you fail a lot. It kind of becomes the norm to just, you can't read a certain word, like you fail over and over again, but you know how to keep get like to just pull through, because you have no choice but to do that. Like I eventually learned how to read and love reading now. I became a
Yes.
writer despite being dyslexic, because dyslexics also have like this amazing capacity to see the big picture and like draw different like strings and connections together. There's a lot of gifts that come with dyslexia, but in like our the way that our system is built, it's built for people that are neurotypical. So when you grow up neurodiverse, you're just constantly failing at life, it feels like. So as a result of that, I'm really not afraid of failing because I know I'll be okay because I've failed like a gazillion times before. So, and I'm still standing, so I'm gonna just keep on trucking. So that's kind of been a blessing in a lot of ways, that I learned at a young age that failure doesn't mean you are a failure, if that makes
Definitely.
sense.
It will not define you, people. And what an example of collective action in capital city that inspired you.
What was an example of collective action?
Yes.
Um, well, in in the series, so the first books takes place in 2010, and then by the time you get to the last book, to Courage, the Me Too movement happens, and you actually see in the series like like the societal shift to believing survivors, to caring about, um, in a real in a different way, um, women's issues, like things that were kind of, well, it is boys will be boys, like that kind of that mentality was no longer kind of tolerated after the Me Too movement. So it shows that progress can happen when we, as a collective, decide that it's time for us to change, that we are no longer going to tolerate a certain group of individuals to be treated uh, in a certain way because of what, for whatever reason, whether it's the color of their skin, their religion, their identity. their gender identity, who they love. You know, when we as a collective say that's not okay, everyone deserves to be treated the same. Everyone deserves to a, a chance at being happy in this life. Um, Shifts happen, societal shifts happen, changes
Yes,
happen, like system level changes can happen. And I think that's really beautiful. I think that's wonderful.
definitely. Miss NG, as one of your advocacy to empower women through bold truth-telling fiction, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Well, right now, this series is almost done. The Calista Caldwell in Capital City series is almost done. I have a final novella that's coming out at the end of the summer, but I've shifted gears and I'm moving over to a new series that I'm launching on Halloween, and that one's a witchy series. So I'm still women's fiction, but it's got more of a fantasy. There's magic element to it. I am a proud millennial who grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch on TGIF,
Yes.
and the Craft movie was like super popular. So I love all things witchy and woo woo. I'm into astrology and all that kind of stuff. So I'm taking some of my my interests and hobbies and passions and putting them into my writing now, because like I said, this series really helped me to heal in a lot of ways. So now I can have a little bit of fun. But that being said, I do want to go back to the Capital City series. I have books planned out for all four of the Fab Four of Capital City. So the main character Cal lives with three other young women, young professionals in the prequel of the series, called the Fab Four of Capital City. So my plan is to eventually give all four of them a 3-part series. But right now I'm shifting over to the Witchy series. But I definitely have a lot planned out. I'm going to be very busy for the next while. I have a lot of writing to do, Daniel.
Good luck, Miss Angie. Good luck to your goals and
Thank
hoping
you.
for more success. And you are most welcome to come back anytime on Book 101 Review and let's talk about it. Let's promote to the world. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be, of course, author like you?
To write, to do it just right. I think that a lot of us have imposter syndrome. You know, you um, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just focus on your own art, and don't compare yourself, because only you have your story. So write it down, and and get it done, and then it doesn't matter in the end. What matters is that you completed it, that you know that you did something that you wanted to do. Because I think that a lot of people out there want to write a book. They have an idea for a book. So to actually do that, instead of shooting all over yourself, oh, I should sit down and write, oh, I should write this book, to actually sit down and just do it. Just sit down and find time. I like to use block scheduling. You know, I'm a single mom, I'm busy. But with block scheduling, and I think also because I'm neurodivergent, it really helps me to, if I have those focused blocks, to sit down. Okay, I know that for the next hour I'm going to be writing. So I sit down and I just start typing, even if it's just rambling at first, just to get me started. And
Yes.
do the thing. You can do it. I believe in you. And
Yes,
you
you can
you
do it.
need to believe in you. That's another one. You need to believe in you.
Believe in yourself first,
Yeah.
people. You can do it for sure. And thank you for that advice, Ms. NG. And again, can you please recommend books or book that influence your journey?
Yes, absolutely. And I've been on the show a couple of times now, so I know I've been suggesting more of the nonfiction category of books, like the self-help sort of thing. So I came with a fiction one this time. And
Yes.
this is going to be so cliche, I know, but it's still such a good book in my opinion, and it's The Alchemist. The Alchemist, I read that in my like mid 20s, and it's all about following your personal legend, and all about like the journey, right? Um Without giving away any spoilers, like the main character discovers that they needed to go on this journey in order to fulfill their personal legend by the end of the book, and it's just so it's so inspiring, and it provides hope. I think one of the quotes, and I'm going to totally butcher this, but one of the quotes out of that book is like, when you really really want something, the entire universe will conspire to make it happen for you. And I think that believing in that can be a really beautiful thing, as long as you're actually doing taking steps towards, whatever those goals and dreams are. I think that's a really wonderful thing to hold on to.
Yes, definitely. Hold on to that, people. And Miss Angie, thank you so much for that recommended book. Hoping our viewers or listeners will read it, and for sure they will empower to it. And let's do summarize of all the books that we talk about. First, Consume. Can you describe this book for our listeners or viewers right now?
Absolutely. So, consumed in Capital City, you are first introduced to Callista Caldwell. She's new to Capital City. She just moved there, and she ends up, kind of by accident, getting a job working for a city councilor. And then she also finds out that it is a municipal election year. So she just got hired, and she is basically thrown into the deep end, fish out of water, and it's really deep water. So the what happens through that book is she gets consumed by this job, and she's also having to. There's a lot of self abandonment that happens throughout the book, and by the end of it, it's all about her really finding her voice. And then in Corruption, she's she's working um, for the same municipal counselor, but she starts to uncover like weird things are kind of happening, and she uncovers this whole web of corruption. And that's the second book is really when it starts to turn into a political thriller by the end of it, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger. And then the third book, it picks up right where the cliffhanger left off, and Cal is she has seen a crime, and she is running for her life and trying to find justice for those that have done some very very bad things.
Yeah.
And that's where that starts. And then I won't say too much about what happens by the end, but I've already alluded to it a little bit earlier in our conversation.
Oh, wow. Interesting. People, consume. Please buy it now. And for the second book, Corruption, Miss Angie.
Yeah, that I just went through all of them. So
Oh,
that was
okay.
Consumed, Corruption,
Consume
and
and
Courage.
courage. That's all
All three
the
of
wrap
them.
up.
Yeah.
That's all the wrap up, people. So
Yeah.
please buy them. Consume, corruption, and courage. And one thing more that I want to ask: what gives you hope about the future of all these books or this series? Consume, corruption, and courage.
I think that my my hope is that whoever does pick it up, that it'll spark conversation, and I'm hopeful that anyone who's had similar experiences will feel validated as they read these pages. And I'm hopeful that, like I said, this sparks conversation, that it highlights some very some some flaws in our systems, that it highlights some injustices that need to be brought to justice. I guess not
Yes.
very poetic, but and it also gives readers maybe an understanding of the lived experience of those on that have experienced these injustices, that maybe there will be a level of understanding for those who haven't had it happen to them, but maybe someone they love has. So, because this has been written in a first person perspective, you're really inside the character's head, and hopefully it gives the reader the experience of what it's like. So it's like it's can be a challenging read. Again, this isn't about escape, it's about, you're going to feel all the feelings, but hopefully you'll feel validated, or you'll feel a sense of deeper understanding from reading this series.
Yes, indeed. And before we close up your our discussion for today, Miss Angie, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in each fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each fourth season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Angie, can you please invite our listeners to support your books?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to ngavant.ca, and you can actually, if you sign up for my newsletter, you can get the prequel to the Capital City series for free, called The Fab Four of Capital City. And follow me on socials, at NG Avant Author. I'd love to see you there and connect and chat. And I love growth mindset stuff, so I post a lot about that over there. So hopefully I'll see you over on the socials. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. I'm all the places. I'm trying to get into Pinterest too. So see you there,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yes, people consume corruption courage. Please buy them in support with Mace and Giovanni, empowering women through bold truth-telling fiction. So, Miss Angie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about my books. Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.